As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. All right, guys, we have so much news to get to, and I will say literally half the stories are Riot stories. So buckle up for like a ton of Riot news. It seems Riot really dominated the news cycle in the last week. And let me start with a relatively easy one, and we're going to get sort of progressively deeper here. But the first story here is it's an article from Dexerto, and the headline here is Riot in talks with Olympic leadership about League of Legends esports future. So supposedly there's a rumor, and Riot has confirmed this rumor, that there's an ongoing conversation between the company and Olympic leadership about the potential for League of Legends to appear as a medal event at the Olympics. I'm curious what you guys think of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this feels like the first time we've seen a major esport, a major publisher confirm that they are actually talking to the Olympics.
I mean, does this
Lindsay, go ahead.
Does this not make so much sense, though? The success of Worlds this past week alone should just tell a story to the Olympic Committee that this is easily a way to integrate with gaming and makes a lot of sense.
I mean, do you think that that's what's driving this? And you've sort of preempted the other story here I wanted to bring up, but I'll bring it up now, which is Worlds 2021. This is League of Legends World Championship. Hits 4 million peak viewers, a new record for League of Legends esports. Now, this excludes the Chinese platforms. What's interesting is if you look at the Chinese data, which I have here also, I'll find the story here, but I think they hit 500 million viewers on Bilibili. I'll get the story here in a second. So, but I'm curious, Olympics conversation, huge results for Worlds, seems to be growing nonstop. Jimmy M, where are you on the sort of league coming to the Olympics kind of conversation?
I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. It is the first time like we're seeing an official like a game talking directly to the Olympics. Previously, we had Street Fighter at the Olympics as well, being held adjacently, and it was with the International Olympic Committee, and it was not exactly an Olympic event, but it was tied to the Olympics, and they had like the whole skins, and they had like a world, it was like an Intel-based event happening at the same time, not exactly related. So this is cool. At the same time, I don't know if Riot Games needs the Olympics, because clearly they don't. They live in a virtual world. It doesn't really have this sort of crossover into the Olympics, which I think is very based in physical sport. But hey, if the Olympics want to be involved, why not, right? You saw how huge this was this past weekend. You saw the videos of the Chinese fans out in the streets screaming EDG. Like, it was ridiculous. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, you bring up a great point, which is, does Riot really need the Olympics? And I'll introduce sort of the third story here. So just a reminder, right? 4 million viewers excluding the Chinese platforms. This is the data that came in. And Bilibili said they reached a peak of 500 million people. Now, this is such a large number, and this is concurrent, watching at the same time. This is such a large number, I'm almost doubting it. Like, great, it's great for esports, it's great for the gaming industry, but it's such a massive number. Who here has some doubts at the accuracy of this data? I mean, Jimmy B, maybe to you on this.
Always having doubts whenever I see any type of figure coming out of there. But I wanted
Unless
to address
it's from
your
YouGov,
point.
I don't trust it. That's my rule.
But to your point, Paul, Riot, the Olympics need Riot more than Riot needs the Olympics. So what's interesting about this is well, the Olympics putting a lot of faith in such a popular esports title today as opposed to 10 years from now, because they really need that crutch today. That's how I'm reading it. So I don't know. I mean, we have some interesting comments in chat about Rocket League. I wanted to kind of pick your guys' brains as why League. Obviously, the viewership in League is one thing. Let's exclude China for a moment. But in 10 years from now, are we still going to be seeing League of Legends at the Olympics, or are they going to be rotating through different esports titles each year? What makes sense here? Because this is a very interesting door that's being opened when you incorporate esports and which esports you choose to incorporate. So, I really just see it as not a desperation play of the Olympics, but definitely like we need to do something, and we need to do it today.
Let me read some of the comments here. Goyo says that's a huge step for esports. Super cool. Agreed. Chris says, were those numbers really that big though? And then you put these numbers up, Chris. 2021 over 4 million, 2020 3.8 million, 2019 3.9 million. I mean, Chris, you're pointing out that viewership is relatively flat the last 3 years, right? Not a ton of growth. I guess the conversation comes down to, do we believe the Chinese numbers? Because the 500 million, according to Bilibili, is a 20% year-over-year increase. The big question becomes, do we believe that Chinese viewership is over 100 times what it is literally everywhere else in the world, right? Not even just North America. That 4 million is everywhere except China. Lindsay, did you have a thought on this?
Total,
Jeff,
sorry,
go
is
ahead.
that 4 million total viewers or concurrent? Like
Concurrent.
4 million total.
Concurrent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Concurrent.
Okay. What would that equate to? Like, is there anywhere where we
That
get,
was the
like,
peak.
total
Sorry, the
viewers?
peak.
Peak concurrent?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit low, but I don't know. Like,
That
I
one
guess
seems
the
low.
highest ever. It's the highest ever.
highest,
No.
yeah, but it's just, I don't know, 4 million. Like, I wonder, like, I feel like every esports deck has to have, like, League of Legends World Championship was viewed more than the Super Bowl, and it's like, I have to imagine.
Well, it was, if you count the 500 million in China.
Well, yeah, I guess if we believe that, but I guess, and maybe it's just that I'm comparing apples and oranges, but like, if I think of like peak concurrence for the Super Bowl, it's got to be several hundred, over 100 million, I would think. So, I don't know if I'm just not looking at things kind of correctly on a comparison basis, but seems low to me.
So 114 million, I think that's the right number, tuned into the Super Bowl. Actually, hang on, no,
That was the
2020,
highest ever. Yeah.
2021 was 91.6 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about 90 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot, more than 4.
But again, but
Good job,
also,
Jeff.
also
What am I missing here? Like, that's a lot more.
1/5 the size. If you can't, why are we excluding China? Why are you
I assume
purposely
you're-
excluding
well,
China? Because we could argue that it was
we're questioning that
504.
data. I mean, how many people are in China?
Over a billion.
So you're telling me that literally half of the
Okay,
human
no,
beings in
no,
China
no. Hold
watched
on.
this event?
Because
No.
I went through an entire statistics rabbit hole just a second ago thinking about this precise thing. China has almost 1.5 billion people. So that's about 1 out of every 3 people. So it's not that unreasonable. However, they have an extremely skewed age range of their population higher. So I suspect if you exclude the surrounding territories that it was less than 500 million. But if you include all of Southeast Asia, which probably got lumped in a little bit, then it probably was pretty close to 500 million. I told
keep
you,
in
I
mind,
went through a
this
whole
is-
loop.
But Lindsay, it's a good point. This is Bilibili data.
Right.
I don't know if there are people outside of China who would have watched on Bilibili as opposed
The
to on
borders
a.
are so porous though in certain areas, depending like for the internet,
And to our listeners that aren't watching, Lindsay is wearing glasses, so factor that into when how you measure her data there, her insight.
I mean, she read the data correct, so.
Goyo says Rocket League also had a chance at an Olympic adjacent event with Intel World Open, but then COVID. Yeah. Rocket League's another one that seems quite obvious. Neil says the juice is looking dialed in tonight. Neil, great to have you here.
Always dialed in.
Maxwell says how does that compare to like the NBA finals? Let's let's see what the NBA. So 2021 NBA playoffs overall averaged 4.25 million viewers across all the networks. So seems so if we're trying to compare sport to sport here, would it be fair to say that NBA finals and league excluding China are about the same size audience?
Yeah. That seems accurate. And that's, I mean, if you consider it, there's
one is
every
peak,
American
one is
household
average,
has
so
a TV.
no, but it's reasonably fair.
Recently.
Well, and every American household has a TV, but not every American household has a Twitch user at the current moment. Like the number of Twitch users is around 40 million, whereas the number of American households with the TV is significantly higher. So like the barriers to entry for professional sports versus watching league is much different. So considering all of that, 4 million is extremely impressive.
I don't know if there's a barrier to entry to watching Twitch.
There is.
There is.
Jeff, there's
Much
no way you could
fiction.
sit down right now and watch a game of League and have any idea what was happening.
No, 100. Well,
$100.
but that's totally different. That you're talking about addressing the addressable market versus the addressable market would be anyone with an internet connection, correct? Like anyone can go on Twitch.
Fair.
It's still
You need
different
an
though.
account. No, it's not.
But I guess
How
it's
is it different?
I mean, it's processing information, right? Like it goes back to the F1 story, right? Like it's ultimately it's putting a ball in a hoop.
Two completely separate things. One is talking about the accessibility of League of Legends. The other is talking about like how many people physically would literally be able to watch League of Legends, like if they wanted to and had the ability to, which I guess would be anyone with a data connection, anyone with an internet connection.
Chris makes another good point here, guys, which is what other pro sport does China celebrate? Their number might be kind of real. I mean,
Basketball.
True. The fact that we're even debating the validity of the Chinese number to me is somewhat problematic, right? The fact that we don't have confidence we may have confidence, but I don't think anyone, raise your hand if anyone on this panel would say 100% you believe the numbers. Not 90%, 100% you believe the numbers. Or anyone in chat, if you guys 100% believe these numbers, right? That creates its own problems, which is if we can't trust the data coming out of, these viewership numbers, how do you sell this then? And does it erode confidence in other esports? Jimmy, I don't know if you have thoughts on that. Jimmy B.
I mean, questioning the data is important, right? And if I don't disagree with you, so I don't have much to offer. If we can't trust in this, then how can we trust in other data that's being put out there? I don't want to get political, but there were other, statistics released from that region with worldly issues very recently, and it's always questions. So I like taking it back to North America, comparing the numbers to the NBA and whatnot. That I thought that was an enlightening conversation, but I have not a lot of interest, having done business over there and trying to get numbers for my own tournaments and programmings to sell sponsorships and other things. I don't have a lot of interest in validating those numbers or applying them to any purpose other than skepticism and amusement.
Yeah, I think it's the size, the absolute size outside of China is encouraging. To Chris's point, it's where do you get explosive growth at some point? Does it, do you get more than the few percentage points growth year over year for league outside of China, or is all the growth happening in China? That would be interesting, I think, to think about and look at.